That's what we were going through. We had, casting directors telling us, no, a black man should do this. No, look at me, homeboy, Shonda Kwanda Nikwa, I want my money. Say, I want my money.
The stereotyping, I've auditioned for I knew I was never going to win an Oscar for playing
right.
I'm Sally Field in that last movie. Thank you, Cat.
Cosby hired Robert Townsend to shoot his. Bill Cosby was set to do a TV show on Netflix.
I remember that.
He reached out to Bill Cosby. I want you to do it.
Right.
Nobody was Robert Townsend's shoes.
In the early 1980s, Robert Townsend was fresh-faced, hungry, and armed with serious training, classical Shakespearean monologues, years of improvisation at Second City, and a disciplined study of method acting. He thought Hollywood would reward his craft, but instead he walked into a nightmare of stereotypes. Casting directors didn't see an actor, they saw a skin tone, a caricature, a prop to prop up white leads. One director looked him over and, without hesitation, said, "You're here for the 8-ball role." The description: a gold-toothed pimp, jive-talking, intimidating but ultimately harmless comic relief. Townsend's stomach turned. Week after week, the auditions were the same. Gangsters, clowns, slaves, drug dealers, the comic sidekick with no depth. He could perform Hamlet flawlessly, but Hollywood only wanted him shuffling, grinning, and degrading himself for laughs. The final blow came after his powerful role in A Soldier's Story alongside Denzel Washington. The film earned Oscar nominations, and Townsend thought, "This is my shot." But when he met with his agent, he was told bluntly, "They only do one black movie a year, and they just did it." That was Hollywood's unspoken quota in the 1980s. If you didn't fit their one slot, you were locked out. Townsend realized he could either keep humiliating himself in auditions or fight back in a way Hollywood wouldn't expect. He began writing late at night, jotting down every absurd audition, every insult, every stereotype he had been forced into. The pain transformed into satire, so sharp it cut through the lies. Partnering with Keenan Ivory Wayans, Townsend began, shaping his anger into a weapon: Hollywood Shuffle. Townsend and Wayans created a fictional black acting school, a brutal parody of Hollywood's treatment of black performers. In the sketches, actors were taught to shuffle, jive, and degrade themselves for white approval. The satirical punchline hit like a hammer: "Remember, you are not a person, you're a type." Townsend turned his trauma into art so biting that Hollywood had no defense. But there was one massive roadblock: money. No studio would bankroll a project that exposed their own racism. So Townsend did the unthinkable. He financed Hollywood Shuffle himself, maxing out credit cards, borrowing from friends, selling possessions, and hustling on the side with TV commercials and small film roles. It was a gamble that could destroy him financially, but Townsend believed the truth was worth it. On March 20th, 1987, Hollywood Shuffle exploded onto the scene. It wasn't quiet, it was a cannon blast. Critics praised it as fearless satire. Roger Ebert called it a breakthrough, and audiences roared with laughter, while cringing at the truth. For the first time, the ugly underbelly of Hollywood casting was exposed in a way that was undeniable. But behind the applause, something darker began. Townsend noticed meetings drying up, roles disappearing, studios whispered, while others rising. Black filmmakers were offered deals. Townsend found doors shutting. Hollywood wanted to clap for his courage but punish him for telling the truth. They let him succeed just enough to avoid looking racist, then quietly blacklisted him. Townsend realized that the cost of his truth-telling would be his own career. Undeterred, Townsend launched his next passion project, The 5 Heartbeats. Inspired by the Temptations, the Dells, and the rich history of Motown, Townsend wanted to capture not just the music but the struggle, the racism, exploitation, and heartbreak behind the glamour. But the studios hated it. They demanded cuts to scenes that showed racism head-on, They wanted to strip away the grit and make it a safe, glossy, feel-good story. Townsend refused. He had already sacrificed everything once. He wouldn't gut his vision again. Finally, 20th Century Fox agreed to distribute, but only under harsh conditions: a slashed budget, weak marketing, and a limited release. Hollywood was betting against him. Yet on March 29, 1991, when The Five Heartbeats premiered, it struck like lightning. Audiences, especially black audiences, embraced it fiercely. They saw their families, their histories, their culture finally honored on screen. The performances were electric, the music timeless, the story deeply human. While critics were divided, the people knew this was something sacred. But once again, the studio sabotaged the reach. They gave it limited promotion, burying its potential. It found its true audience later through VHS tapes, late-night cable, and word of mouth. The system tried to smother it, but the people kept it alive. Townsend had proven again that authentic black stories had power, but Hollywood refused to let them thrive. By the mid-1990s, Townsend had delivered Hollywood Shuffle, The Five Heartbeats, and Raw, Eddie Murphy's 1987 concert film, which became the highest-grossing stand-up movie ever. Any other director with that resume would be crowned a legend. Instead, Townsend found himself systematically erased. He created The Parenthood, a hit sitcom that ran 5 seasons, portraying a black family with nuance and love. Yet, when the conversation turned to black excellence on TV, his name barely came up. Retrospectives on black cinema skipped him. Film schools praised Spike Lee and John Singleton, but left Townsend out. Hollywood had found its perfect punishment: acknowledge his work just enough to avoid accusations of racism, but never let him be canonized. The final insult came in the streaming era. Platforms like Netflix celebrated diversity with glossy campaigns and multi-million-dollar deals for black creators, but Townsend's films weren't showcased. His name wasn't trending. His influence wasn't credited. Entire generations grew up discovering Get Out and Black Panther without ever hearing of Hollywood Shuffle or The Meteor Man. Townsend had opened the doors, but the history books handed the keys to others, and yet truth always resurfaces. In 2018, a new wave of filmmakers and critics began rediscovering Townsend's work. Film students shared clips from Hollywood Shuffle online, stunned at how relevant it remained. Social media rediscovered The Five Heartbeats, demanding to know why it had been ignored for so long. The Criterion Collection released a restored edition of Hollywood Shuffle, validating Townsend's genius decades late. Jordan Peele, Ryan Coogler, and Issa Rae openly praised Townsend as a pioneer, giving him his overdue flowers. At 68, Townsend began receiving Lifetime Achievement Awards, retrospectives, and long overdue recognition. But the real victory wasn't in trophies. It was in survival. He never stopped creating. He directed documentaries, mentored filmmakers, and taught at USC, passing down his lessons to a new generation. His influence lives on every time a black filmmaker refuses to play by Hollywood's rules. Every time a story is told authentically, instead of watered down for comfort, Townsend's spirit is present. The industry tried to erase him. They blacklisted him. They buried him. But Robert Townsend proved that truth can't be erased. His films were more than art. They were survival, resistance, and legacy. Hollywood may have written him out of the history books, but audiences wrote him back in. Townsend's greatest victory isn't in one film. It's in every artist today who dares to create without permission.